think about the colors. When you think about white, think about a blank slate. These are people you know, but you really don't know if they know your value, if they've heard the story of you, if they know that you've started a new business or are looking for a new opportunity. These are people that every week you are actively targeting on your map to move them forward and visit with them and to determine if there's a true opportunity between the two of you. Typically, you are focusing on 5 to 10 people per week if you're designating a good large proportion of your time toward this effort. Yellow. Yellows are golden. They indicate people are going to be buying or pursuing your product or service, but there's no urgency. The value of a yellow is that they are golden and they provide you plenty of runway to develop a relationship with that person. Since they're in no hurry, you have time to get to know them well, and that's awesome because you can nurture a relationship with them. Once that yellow says, hey, I'd like to meet to actually discuss this opportunity, that yellow converts to a blue. So blue, let's talk about the indications of that color. Blue is a cool color, and this is very counterintuitive because as soon as someone tells you, I'd like to meet to discuss what I think you can do for our company, or I'd like to meet to perhaps explore a consulting opportunity with you or buying products or services from you, we immediately want to jump to red. We want to put a proposal on the table. We want to get it closed. Isn't that true? You immediately, when someone says yes, you want to jump to red, but blue is actually a very constructive color in the pipeline because it's a cool color. So you are to cool off, and this has been chosen specifically to help you think about the mindset of a technical expert. You are qualifying your value versus maybe your price. You are talking about your experience in relation to the compensation or the details associated with the scope of work that you're doing. You need to ask questions in blue meetings to determine if it's a really good fit. You might ask questions like, what's been their history in dealing with others in this role? Have they had other people do this role and it's been successful or unsuccessful? If it's been unsuccessful, why? Why do they expect in working with you it will be successful? Are their definitions of success realistic? When you meet repeatedly with different people within an organization, this gives you an opportunity to gather knowledge and to determine if the culture is a good fit. It also allows you to ask from multiple perspectives inside the organization what type of work needs to be done and how does it need to be done profitably. Are their key performance indicators or KPIs realistic? Is the scope of work, the depth of value that I've got to create for it to be a match? Is it a good cultural match for me? Are their expectations realistic? Historically, have people in this role before been successful or not? And if not, why? And if they expect me to be successful, how do I anticipate approaching this in such a way that it's going to be a success? Am I really a good fit or not? This opportunity to slow down and be intentional in blue meetings gives me a chance to ask the question, is this a good fit? In the next module, we're going to be talking about addendums and how to use addendums to create a digital footprint that is a summary of every meeting or interaction you have within a company. Those are wonderful because they enable you to control the internal dialogue that people have when they want to endorse you as a candidate within an organization. So we're going to be talking about that in the next module, but for now, know this, that in the blue meetings, this is where you're taking the time to slow down, understand their expectations, talk about what the past people have been in this position within inside a company, talk about who the competitors are, what their decision-making process will be, what their definitions of success are, what their key performance indicators might be at 90 days past hire or a year past hire, And it gives you an opportunity to really determine if this is a good fit. Again, once a client says, I'd like to negotiate terms of an offer, or I'd like to have a proposal from you, that blue immediately reclassifies as a red. Once that happens, you need to change hats yet again and ask the question, is financing or the budget in place? You need to know if you've spent time with the person who's the decision maker. You need to understand the criteria they're going to use to make a decision, and you're going to want to ask what or who is the competition. These are classic qualification questions that set you up to actually ask for the offer or ask for the opportunity. So when you think about things and you try to get your head around the different attitudes, skills, and behaviors associated with a YBR, you need to be thinking whites. I'm going to be thinking like a prospector. I'm going to be telling my story. I'm going to be generating interest and connecting with people. Once I get in front of people as a yellow, I'm going to be talking as a technical expert about my value. The more we get into qualified conversation about why I'm a good fit for their project, for a particular hire or role, or for a consulting gig, or to be a resource for them, I'm going to lean even more into my expertise as a technical expert and do everything I can to really understand the scope of the assignment, what their expectations are, and help set up the argument of my value versus my price for doing this job. Finally, when they ask me for a proposal, if I've done things properly, we've already talked about value versus price. Now it's just a formality. I am confirming that they're the decision maker. I am asking them why they might choose someone else over me, and I'm asking for them to choose me first. And I'm asking when a decision will be made. In essence, I am pre-closing an opportunity. And when I look at my YBR, it gives me an opportunity to look at something that is reflecting to me back a summary of my skills and my efforts in the marketplace so far. So let's just talk for a moment about a suggested approach to whites. So these are people that you might know as banner wavers, that you're asking to engage with, people who you're really comfortable with. You know how to interact with those folks. But let's say they make an introduction for you and you're now in a position of reaching out to someone in follow-up to a door that's been opened for you via email from someone else. So you're sending an initial email, you're offering specific times to meet or to call, by Zoom maybe, for 30 minutes. In the meeting, you need to be looking and listening for things that you can do for them. Whether this is an information gathering meeting, whether it's an opportunity for you to ask questions about how they landed their job in the industry, or what they would recommend you do to connect with recruiters or headhunters that are within their industry. You need to try to set an agenda for the call so the person on the other end knows what to expect. And you need to be looking actively for things you can do for them. Every person who is in a position is always looking for customers, for interns, for clients, for strategic partners, for resources, or for encouragement. The person that you're going to be talking to, you need to be actively asking yourself in preparation for the call, what can I do for this person? Once you have the call, you're going to be offering a follow-up thank you, and you're going to be looking to take action on anything you can do to help this other person out. So you're going to add value to them, and you're going to give them what you discovered they need. In conclusion, you're going to take action. You're either going to make an introduction for them, you're going to find an intern for them, you might pull an article of interest for them, you might offer to mentor or coach one of their kids. Any number of things can be a byproduct of these meetings, but when you're dealing with whites, you not only need to connect with them personally and professionally, but you need to have a follow-up action at the end of every interaction, so there's a reason to move a white forward, to nurture and to expand a relationship. And keep in mind that what it takes to initially connect with someone is very different than what it takes to go back, reconnect with someone, make an effort to nurture the relationship, and then move the relationship to the next level. Let's talk for a moment about a healthy pipeline. In a healthy YBR, typically I'm looking at 3 times as many yellows, 2 times as many blues, and 1 times as many reds. So in a really healthy pipeline, the yellows would be 3 times the blues would be 2 times the reds, and it would be a 3-2-1 type ratio distribution throughout the colors. Keep in mind that yellow is gold in the pipeline. Anytime I see a company that has few yellows in their pipeline, I can tell they've got a problem with prospecting. On the other hand, if I look at their pipeline and there's an odd distribution of yellows and reds but few blues, it might indicate that the company has a tough time thinking like a technical expert or slowing things down to really qualify an opportunity. Too many blues in an individual pipeline, if you're submitting resumes to companies or you're in process of interviewing, it might mean you're too quick to move the process forward. You're not taking enough time to really qualify the opportunity. Too many reds on a pipeline might indicate that you are chasing anything that moves. It also might indicate that you don't really understand the colors and you might be confusing a blue with a red. Colors are really helpful to help you diagnose attitudes and behaviors or skills that are needed. The map and the YBR, when used in combination with one another, reveal how you use your time and how effective you are at following up with your notation and moving a relationship through the process of qualification to close. A good formula, if you're looking to be productive every week, is that you're targeting 5 whites per week. You might be meeting with 2 yellows, maybe a blue and a red per week. That would be healthy activity. Be thinking of your YBR as a diagnostic tool. I encourage you to take the current spreadsheet that you're working from, thinking about and considering the definitions that I've given you for whites, yellows, blues, reds, and greens, and then color code that spreadsheet. What does your YBR tell you? Let's dive a little deeper into the definitions. Let's say you have many yellows. That means you've got a lot of gold in the pipeline. This is very good because it allows you to establish a relationship with people. It gives you plenty of time to set yourself up as the preferred vendor for a need that they have, to qualify, get to know the decision makers, and potentially close an opportunity. The issue, though, with yellows is often they're slow moving. You miss one follow-up call and you might miss a golden opportunity. The next time you do call them, you find out they're red and they've already made a decision. It's very important with yellows to not get lost in the timeline and to stay on top of them. So that's something to know about yellows. Is there a large number of yellows but too few blues? If so, you might be a great prospector, but then really struggle as a technical expert. Also, how do you feel about closing? When we talk about classifying a blue to a red and getting serious about asking for the opportunity, negotiating for a salary, asking for a war room session with your potential boss so that you can work on strategic understandings before you onboard, these are all things that are part of a closer mindset. How do you feel about closing? How do you feel about asking for the order from people? Some people really just don't feel comfortable with that, but your preponderance of reds in your pipeline will really tell you how efficient you are at moving from blues to reds and asking for a yes or no decision. Too many reds, again, might indicate that you are misqualifying opportunity or that you're chasing too many things. When I see a preponderance of reds in a corporate spreadsheet, what it tends to tell me is that they're competing on price and they're not taking time to properly qualify an opportunity. You need to ask from week to week, what do the results reveal about your strengths, about your weaknesses, about your attitudes, about your behaviors? this is a fantastic tool to look at your productivity from week to week and what is moving categorically, and how does that relate to your goals. Again, in an ideal week, you're meeting with 5 whites, 2 yellows, maybe a blue or red, and you're reporting to your small group your progress. Hopefully they're celebrating your progress, and they're also coaching you on the next steps you need to take to move that yellow to a blue, or the blue to a red, or the red to a green.